you guys recognize this guy. He doesn't normally have this button on his nose. It's like the worst reindeer story ever. But this is Sean Hannity, and Sean, besides looking like one of our gang, all grown up and sad, is I prefer to call him client number 3, because Michael Cohen only had 3 clients, and he was the third one. The other one was Trump and the dude who paid for Trump's abortions and with his own credit card, so that it'd be on his ticket, not on Trump, so that Trump could keep his record clean. But there we go. So anyways, looking a little neck strained there today, a little tense there, Sean. I mean, it might be the vaping. You know, sometimes what happens is the thing that relaxes you ultimately makes you more tense. That's what I said. Meditation, those things is much better than a chemical form of that, because there's a yo-yo effect, and he looks like a yo-yo, and that's where it gets. Anyways, Hannity, this should tell you something. Hannity sounds off on outrageous fraud trial. That's right. Outrageous. Whoops, did we get this? Did it work? Hold on. I gotta wait for my button to work. Wake up, button, you silly thing. There it is. Outrageous! For those of you who don't know, outrageous is actually a word that politicians and other people in power and in influence use when the charges against them are true, but they want to act as if they aren't. Pickles says outrageous. Outrageous Pickles! Okay, here we go. And apparently he thinks the judge is more guilty than Trump.
All right, let's bring in Sean Hannity to react to all of this.
Oh, dear. Oh, he's on. Is this Fox and Friends? Yeah. Oh,
Sean, what's your reaction to what they're doing to Donald Trump here in New York?
What they're doing to Donald Trump here in New York. Poor baby.
This is the most outrageous case.
Oh, there it is. Outrageous. Come on now. Outrageous, everybody. It's outrageous. Come on. You can't. Hey, that's outrageous.
I think I've ever seen in my life.
Well, then you haven't been paying attention, motherfucker, because Donald Trump's son-in-law's dad hired a hooker and got compromising photos of his father and got him sent to jail. What are you talking? It's New York. Do you have any outrageous trials there have been in New York before this one?
It is irrelevant whatever valuations the Trump organization put on their properties. And by the way, they were definitely more within lines than what the judge determined. That would be irrelevant. Any lending institution, any insurance company, they have a fiduciary responsibility to determine the valuation themselves, bring in their own appraisers. As a matter of fact, every one of those contracts, when they put valuations down, that is stipulated in the contract. This really goes to the heart of the larger argument that we're having in the country. Is do we have?
Here's what happens. By the way, let's put this aside. If you're playing checkers, it would seem that the New York Attorney General's office, in dealing with this, is simply looking at a guy who lied to the banks and saying the banks should have done their fiduciary duty on a personal level, but they just didn't, and fuck it, doesn't matter, that's up to them. Belies the fact that they may have, A, been involved in money laundering, other financial shenanigans themselves, used this stuff as cover, had gotten orders or requests from other people that have enormous amounts of money in their banks or their subsidiaries overseas to give him these loans that he did not deserve. But for the paperwork, you got to write it that it's worth it. Otherwise, we can't give you the money. You need to gussy up your paperwork, because somebody's going to recognize that Russia through Deutsche Bank kicked us some funds and then we sent them on to you. We're money laundering for them. You do us favors later on. That's a whole big thing to unpack. The banks are in a situation where that if they don't push back on this and they go, no, we just believed what he told us, they could also be in huge trouble themselves, because they were participants in this shit. It isn't simply that they didn't do their work. It's that this was all bullshit and all parties involved were engaged in massive fraud.
Justice in America has been weaponized and politicized. In this particular case, you got an attorney general. Her whole platform, she ran to go after one man, Donald Trump.
Right, and she won. Because the people of New York fucking hate him. Because they've lived with him all this time. You, on the other hand, liked him so much, you had his fixer fix shit for you.
One family, the Trump family, one organization, the Trump organization. Okay, so the judge now, they want to take away all control of their property, ostensibly cancel this family in New York.
Uh-huh.
Fine them $250 million.
600 million. That's the number I heard. 600. It's a lot.
And the most absurd part of what the valuation the judge is looking at is the property down in Florida, Maralago. The judge is saying it's valued between $18 and $26 million.
Yeah, that's what the tax assessor said.
I study these properties down in Maralago.
Why? Did you want to be one of Epstein's neighbors at some point, or you study them? So you're going to move down there next to him and start your media empire when they kick you off Fox for being too old, when they Bill O'Reilly you?
Ken Griffith bought 5 homes in a row, a couple of years ago, for $100 million each. There's not a single property.
Right, but those are specifically homes in a very wealthy area that's closed off to the public.
That is under $400 million that has both the Intercoastal and the Oceanway as Mar-a-Lago. And the judge is as guilty as any, is more.
Okay, hold on. Real quick. Real fucking quick. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. Well, hold on. Let me go back here. Back up. Okay. Back up. I gotta find the actual primary article on here. Yeah, here it goes. Palm Beach. Yeah. Just go to this. Click on it. Go. Hold on. Either do. Trying to questions early social media. I don't want to. Okay. Wrote that it was between. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. Here we go. Who appraised Mar-a-Lago and how? Outrageous. Sorry, I got to turn that off. Who appraised Mar-a-Lago and how? Cecil Jackson, chief property appraiser for Palm Beach County, told Newsweek that its assessments were based on assessments for tax purposes only and not for financing or for a lending institution. He said that Mar-a-Lago was among 9 clubs in the county where that were appraised on their net operating income. We look at their memberships, the number of members, their annual membership dues, the expenses, the cost to run a facility, and then we trade a capitalization rate, which includes the tax rate for the jurisdiction. We don't look at the property any differently than we do any properties here in Palm Beach. They're all assessed equitably and fairly, regardless of whose name's on the property. Jackson declined to comment on the reaction of Trump and his family to the assessment, but said, everyone has an opinion. We have an opinion. Our values are set on January 1 of each calendar year, and it's only for assessment purposes, not for reappraisals or private appraisals that someone would want to determine the property's worth. That's what he's talking about. Okay. Why he's saying it could be worth a lot, but you could sell it for $400 million. You probably could. You could probably sell it for $250. You could probably do that, but it's still 10 times what it's worth for material worth. And can you is the other question. So you'll all remember the house that was assessed at $90 million that he sold, that some dude bought it from Trump and that he had bought for $5 million, sold it for 90, and then the guy just bulldozed the house. Right? That's why. That's why you can see this kind of money in those kind of houses, because it's fucking money laundering. in real estate using LLCs for foreigners, quite frankly, foreign companies and foreign individuals. So Trump's reaction to the appraisal. Trump and his sons responded with incredulity to the ruling, which ordered that some of the Trump's business licenses in New York be rescinded over the years-long fraud, and the companies that his own property should be handed over to independent receivers. In a statement on his Truth Social, Trump described the ruling as a radical attack, blah, 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 spectacular, value problem, to be worth $18 million when it actually is worth 100 times that much, which is, $1.8 billion, which is hilarious. In an attempt to destroy my father, kick him out of New York, they ruled that Maralago and Palm Beach is only worth approximate $18 million. Maralago is speculated to be worth well over $1 billion. Well over $1 billion. That's Eric. Elsewhere, he shared the list of Donald Trump's eldest joked in a tweet, if Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million, I'll take 10, please. Since the ruling emerged, some on social media have speculated there's a true value of the property might be suspected figures. A nearby vacant lot, 2.3 acres, sold on Zillow for $200 million. John Lefevre, former investment banker, created Goldman Sachs Elevator social media account, wrote alongside a screen grab of it. Mar-a-Lago sits on 17 acres with waterfront on both sides. He added, the primary point is this. Lending bank is required to get a valuation from a third party to cover its LTV calculation. No one had any issue with this. Everyone made money. But until an activist district attorney came along decades later, a reference to Letitia James, who brought the case. Now, here he goes. Software engineer replied, you're right. If it was priced at the same price per acre as the empty lot, it'd be $1.5 billion. That's where he's getting his number from. There are competing estimates to the size of the state. Several publications said span 17, while the website says 20. Of course it does. According to the asking price of the empty lot listing, this would be a theory of 1.47 to 1.72 billion, but that doesn't take into account the development potential of an empty lot plot of the value of the Mar-a-Lago buildings. However, some noted it may be historic nature of the resort, which is designated Natural Historic Landmark in 69, which makes it monetarily less valuable to a potential buyer because you can't bulldoze it. It has to stay as the thing, and it can't be a hotel. You can't turn it into one. Like, it was just a house, and they, whatever. And they still rent it out for events. While $27 million is obviously undervaluation, Mar-a-Lago can't be developed or turned into a single-family estate. Its deed requires to remain a club, which radically reduces its resale value. Property listing Zillow currently gives the estimate value of $24.2 million. It fell into hot water in August, erroneously suggesting it had been sold for $422. Somebody put that on there because it looked like he was handing it over to Junior to hide it when he couldn't actually. And by the way, no. There we go. Sorry, we got somebody in the chat trying to sell something. It's what happens when you get a big crowd. Hi, everybody. My guess is that as a historic space, it would ultimately be valued at where is he? Where you go? I think I lost my page. And then not him. There he is. That more than likely, you could sell it as a historic site to somebody who wants to just live in it or use it, have it as a club where it continues on. Rethinking the fact that you can only do so much with it, I would say 150 million tops for one of those kind of places, because you can't do anything to the exterior of it, only the interior. So, anyways, weird.
More guilty than Trump at having a phony valuation of that property. It is really sad what's happening here. For that, you see a deck stacked against him. You see literally. They're going after the one family fulfilling a campaign promise. It is.
The what? The one family fulfilling a campaign promise? Hey, asshole. Letitia James is fulfilling a campaign promise.
It's a great travesty, a great injustice.
Oh, it's terrible.
And this really can't keep happening. This is the stuff.
Yeah, it can. He's committed more crimes than he is being indicted for. It can keep happening.
Of a banana republic.
Oh, fuck off. By the way, just for the record, that lady is not murdered. She's on the sidewalk in front of the courthouse. Just saying. And she may have, her face has been erased, but that's a New York thing. She just does that so the cameras don't pick her up. Is the thing. And that guy's not been murdered, unless rigor mortis has already set in and he's dead standing up.
You ask any appraiser in Palm Beach, Florida, to put a value on Mar-a-Lago, and they all should come out with their valuations, and there's not going to be one under $400 million, and that's going to...
Yeah, there would. because you can't do anything with the property. You got to keep it the way it is. That's why that other dude bought 5 lots for $100 million each, because he can do whatever the fuck he wants with them. That explains it. That's why he didn't just buy Mar-a-Lago and go, oh yeah, I like the land. How much you want to sell that to me for? He spent $500 million on something that even Sean Hannity says you could buy Mar-a-Lago for around $4 million. Why not? Why did he buy those 5 lot houses? You know why? Because he can knock them the fuck down and turn them into a giant hotel. You can't do that on the Mar-a-Lago land.
To be on the low side, and for the judge to say, well, that was overvalued, and he had valued it at $18 million is obscene.
No, because you can't change it. It has to be a club according to the tax assessor and according to the laws in Palm Beach County, and that is all it brings in.
Well, the thing is, what is his experience? Number one. Number two, it's just one guy. They've already made their conclusions, and now they start the trial. The other thing is, Mar-a-Lago makes $18 million, annually, let alone it's worth about 300.
No. It does not make $18 million in profit. It might have $18 million in revenue every year, but it does not make $18 million in profit. I would venture to say that ever since the Secret Service have stopped having to camp out there, as heavily as they did when he was president, and all the the skiffs and other stuff that they had to put in there that they removed and that's not part of the property anymore, and he's got his small detail, but they don't have to live on property. That the government is not paying as significant a chunk of the mortgage or the payments for the upkeep of the property that they used to. So he's probably, what do you think? Maybe $1.5 million profit, if any.
$1 million, as you said.
I mean, if they're making that much money, if you're making $18 million a year, why is he hiring illegal aliens? Aren't there Americans that would like to make some of that money? I mean, I understand, it's the American way, but.
And you know all about real estate, but this is unbelievable because there is no plaintiff. There's no insurance company. There's no construction company.
No, terrible point. Because it's a zero-sum game. If money is taken from one place, it can't go to another. Banks do not have unlimited funds to loan out. And if they are loaning them out for the sake of money laundering or for the sake of getting favors from someone, either politically or from a business standpoint, they are not loaning it out to other people who warrant it, deserve it, do have the financials for a loan that's smaller than that, rather than giving that one giant loan to him, giving dozens, if not hundreds of loans to other New Yorkers, he is defrauding all of them and everybody who might be employed by them and everybody who might build the building or modify the buildings that they would buy or the office spaces that they would convert. That's the fucking point. And the only reason the banks weren't defrauded was because he either declared bankruptcy with other banks or he was bailed out when he should not have been by the likes of Deutsche Bank or other people who wanted favors because he was president.
Bank that said we got to get Donald Trump. The
Everybody
same deal
got
that he's
paid.
done when he was hosting The Apprentice. These deals were all in place. Where was the outrage then? Zero outrage because they're making things up.
What do you mean zero outrage? I don't know anybody personally. I mean, I know the show had fans, but I don't know anybody personally in my realm that actually thought Donald Trump was an actual successful fucking businessman. It was a fucking myth. He was a game show host. Fuckhead. He only had time to do multiple seasons of that because he didn't build anything. Trump turned his father's company from a construction and real estate company to a branding company. Everybody thought it was fucked up. Everybody thought it was stupid.
Well, Brian, you raise a really relevant point here. The banks were paid. The insurance company was paid. Nobody's complaining that they lost money on any of the deals based on the valuations that the company put forward.
Yes, because there are hundreds, if not thousands of people in New York that were affected by the fact that banks did not have money to loan to them because they handed it to this lying asshole. While they got their loans turned down, when their numbers worked, were good, but didn't have the kind of fantasy evaluation that the upper guys at the bank were giving to Donald Trump, they would have been profitable businesses that people could have had salaries and raised their fucking families on. And instead, they get turned down, and the money goes to him.
Here, but in the end, I want to go back to this point. When you put in for a loan with a banking institution, or you want to get an insurance policy, it is in the contract. It was in Donald Trump's contract. It was in the Trump Organization's contract.
This is the worthless clause idea that, of course, I'm bullshitting you. Right, Sean. That's why a lot of us think the vast majority of his later loans post 2000 were fucking money laundering. That's the point. That the bank officers themselves were in on it. That this was all bullshit. And even still, they denied normal people and normal businesses and decent, hardworking New Yorkers the ability to get a fucking loan so that Donald Trump could help them launder money for the Saudis and the fucking Russians.
Contract that these are our valuations, but for the sake of your valuation, you must do your own due diligence. You must come up with your own valuation of the property. And at that point, the responsibility is on them. They have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders, to whoever they're working for, to get that number right.
Hey Sean,
hey, asshole. This guy had so many layered fucking loans that he never had the full evaluation of one of these buildings on a single bank. So a lot of times he would have one loan with this group and one loan with that group. And each group was like, well, if he falls behind on our loan on this, we will take a chunk of this building, which is worth technically more than what we're lending him. So you got this building. Let's say it's a $600 million building in Manhattan. And Bank One has $400 million in the floors in there. We've got $20 million. Bank C has $20 million. And that's the, or $200 million or whatever. Between that 800, 600, he's got flex to actually build inside or take care of the operating costs, whatever that overflow amount is. And he uses the top loan to pay the other two loans on this giant building. It's the exact same thing when these fucking house flippers, but it's just on a massive level, okay? But each of these banks, when they get the evaluation on the whole building, because they're not on the hook for the whole fucking building, they're only on, they get, if it falls apart, they've got dibs on the whole fucking building, and they'll work it out with the other bankers. But if he falls behind on their loan, there's like a cascading effect, and they get to keep the building. Then they can sell either their section of the building for more than what they loaned him, or they can put some sort of claim on the rest of the fucking building. It's a scam. It's the same thing with these rolling house flippers. It's just done inside giant buildings.
That burden is not on the
when they
person applying.
When they do your
Brian,
taxes, you have accountants do your taxes. I don't care how smart you are. Accountants do your taxes. Last year, they harassed his accountants to the point where they gave up ownership of the taxes they did. So,
right, because he'd been lying on his taxes. He had been lying to his accountants. And they had a choice. They could say, what we gave to the IRS is untrue because of what we wrote, or what we gave to the IRS was true as far as we know it because he lied to us, which was the truth. That's why they fucking left. I don't even know why he thinks this is a defense.
Just like flipping his lawyer in the Georgia case. Now they're blowing up his accountants. They're isolating him, cutting off his arteries of relief, and then
arteries of relief. Mazur's fucking left. He was lying to them. He was lying to his own attorneys. It's the exact same problem. His fucking attorney said to the government, I did not move any of those boxes. None of the boxes moved for 2 weeks from when we locked the room. And these are the boxes as they were. And these are all the classified documents we have. And signed off on that. And was made to lie to the government on his behalf. Not because they wanted to lie to the government. Not because they were participating in this conspiracy. It's because he fucking lied to them. So of course they flipped. They're not going to jail for a crime they weren't participating in or they had no win on. They don't benefit from the fucking crime. As a matter of fact, their career gets fucked if they do go, just from The fact that they were suckered into this being his fucking attorney.
And saying, now we're going to put you on trial. How is that okay?
It's okay because his attorney, and in the case of his accountant, were lied to by him and therefore made false statements to the government, signed off on paperwork to the government. There's no worthless clause on your fucking taxes. There's no worthless clause on your conversations with the fucking FBI. But I could be full of shit. And you should always know that my lawyer is also full of shit. What?
It's not okay.
It's totally okay. It's exactly how it works. Why the fuck should Mazars go down for his and Alan Weisselberg's lies? Why should Alan Weisselberg's fraud and Donald Trump's fraud and Don Jr.'s fraud reflect on them if they believed the numbers they were given and drafted the taxes based on those numbers? They dropped him because they no longer trust that the numbers they got from him over the course of a decade were real. Of course they're going to turn. They would like to have a continued career. They don't want their business shut down like he is. They didn't lie. As far as they knew, they were telling the truth. Same with his attorney.
This is why the House Judiciary Committee
is full of shit and lost and wandering in a field somewhere.
Rightly, and every American better pay attention to this, because if they can go after one man, which is Letitia James ran on a platform to go after one person, Donald Trump.
Right, and the plurality of New Yorkers agreed that it was about fucking time.
One family, the Trump family.
Right, because they had for years watched this bullshit artist elbow his way to the front of the line at charity events that he didn't even contribute to. For veterans groups that he didn't give money to, sit on the stage acting like he's ready to accept a fucking awards for participating in charities that he not only didn't give money to, but he, in the case of his son, took a profit off of the St. Jude's charity that he ran that was more than the money that went for nothing, as a pass-through. Okay. Eric Trump is fucking disgusting. Let's just start there. And understand that Eric Trump's issue with St. Jude was that he set up the Eric Trump Foundation to raise money for St. Jude's. I got news for you. You don't fucking have to do that at all. You throw a gala event and you go, I'm paying for the gala event and this money goes to St. Jude's. And the people here are from St. Jude's. They have little computerized devices. They can take your credit card or you fill out this shit. It doesn't go through me. It goes straight to St. Jude's. Every check you write, make it out to St. Jude's. Don't make it out to me. Why the fuck would you do that if you weren't shaving? Fucking gross. Don't do it. Especially now, Jesus Christ, if this is the 80s and you're like, we got to fucking figure out where all these hospitals are and they're not all connected. I'm raising money for a wing of a hospital someplace that doesn't have this particular treatment or whatever. Then match the funds people give and put it into a holding account. Even back then. And then you can walk out with your big giant fucking dumb check, which you can do anyways. Nobody gives a shit. Just go to the Eric Trump Foundation. We raised $500,000 but everybody sent it there. We just made out a big picture check just for self-congratulatory purposes. Nobody's going to take these fucking giant checks down to the goddamn bank. Why the fuck? Why did anyone at one of Eric Trump's foundation events or through his foundation ever make out a check to anyone but St. Jude's? Why? If somebody wants to help sponsor the event as a fundraiser for St. Jude's, they can write a check to Eric Trump. Here, fucking Stoli Vodka. We're writing a check to Eric Trump and we're going to donate alcohol for the night. We're going to cater the event for free because it's for fucking St. Jude's. And everybody here, all the hotels donating the fucking room. And somebody else and I'm paying the fee for the insurance because they can't do it totally for free. You got to write a base line number for this. They write off the use of some of the buildings, for charity events. It helps them write off shit on their taxes. Cool. This motherfucker shoveled all the money through him and shaved off the top of it for fucking nothing. was like bigger than his salary that year. Talking millions of dollars. That's why he can't operate a fucking charity in New York State anymore. You know how fucked up you have to be to not be able to run a charity someplace? The fuck out of here. That's why the people of New York heard Letitia James going, fuck Trump. And they were like, yes, finally, this asshole.
Organization, the Trump organization. This is the fulfillment of a campaign promise. This
right, yes. And apparently a plurality of New Yorkers, that was the biggest issue for them. With all the murders and carjackings and fucking drugs and all kinds of other stuff, they were like, yeah, we know you'll handle that. But are you going to go after Trump too?
This is one of the worst cases I've ever seen. And at the end of the day, if they are successful here, and I've got to imagine that President Trump would have a much better chance in terms of justice on appeal. But imagine it is ostensibly canceling.
No, he won't.
Their business in
the evaluation of Maralago used in loans elsewhere, especially when in multiple loans, that's the other problem. Not only did he overvalue this property, but he overvalued the property because he was getting multiple loans using that as a sign of what he had to sell if he had to repay the loan all of a sudden. And he owns Maralago outright. So he jacks the fucking value of that thing up hundreds of millions of dollars.
New York, finding them a obscene amount of money, $250 million,
600. It'll be closer to 600.
Taking control of their property.
Well, that's because they can't operate a business because they're crimers.
What country does that sound like to you?
I don't know. Ask Jared Kushner's dad. Ask Bernie Madoff. Ask the Enron guys. Sounds like America, fuckhead.
Doesn't look like anything American to me.
Well,
yeah, it does. But that's only because you show fealty to Donald Trump and you're more Stalin-esque.
It would be a horrible precedent.
Sean, there's another topic that we wanted to get your thoughts on. It's what's happening on the House. It looks like the Republicans, they're at each other's throat again. They didn't get the 12 appropriations bills out, but they were able to keep the government open. Gates wants McCarthy gone. You have been following this. You know the members that are there. What is your read on this?
Yeah, because I'm not going to stay up. I get up at 4 a.m. for this show, and none of us watch you in the evening because we have enough difficulty sleeping.
This fight going on.
First of all, I wish it wasn't going on. Let me put it.
I wish it wasn't going on. I wish you had more time.
That way.
Anybody know what movie that line is from? Test in the chat room. See who can. A last wish. A last wish. I wish you had more time.
If you take Lawrence, LJ, you take the personalities out of it. What's frustrating to me watching this, talking to varying people involved in this. Okay, there is an argument to be made. Kevin McCarthy should have gotten the 12 appropriations bills done faster. They have 4 of them done, but in the short term, there was a coalition put together by Congressman Chip Roy and Congressman Byron Donalds, and
yes. 2 true leaders. Man on fire. Who said man on fire first? So who was that? Oh, so good. Yeah, there you go. It takes a minute for the chat to come through. I think Josh got it first. Scroll. Nope. Oh no, here we go. Said it. Silas said it. I love you. I love you guys. Dr. 13 got it right. Yeah. There you go. Oh, I love you guys. I love the fact that you just know it from that one fucking line. God damn, I love that movie. Ugh. That was one of, I would say that's one of Denzel's first Bible movies. Mark Kramer on fire.
The other members of the Freedom Caucus, and they were able to get together with more moderate members of the coalition and they came up with a deal. They would have had an 8% cut in spending across the way. Right. They would have secured the border, which
across the way, except for the wall funding and border funding, and of course none of it actually functional. All of it's just more wall.
Conservative wants done in the country, and it would have bought them the time to finish the appropriation bill process. And then if they all stood together, all 222, and they would then pass these bills, then the pressure point would move from the House to the Senate when they move to conference. I'd rather see the pressure on Mitch McConnell, Republicans in the Senate, and Chuck Schumer.
Tough shit. You can't just do that because they're outnumbered by the House. That's how that fucking shit works. I'm glad you like Book of Eli. I can't fucking stand that movie.
Than on House Republicans. I want them to be the part.
Mainly because the moral of it is horrifying. We'll talk about that at another time. Book of Eli is a horribly immoral movie about the Bible, which is even crazy.
Party of secure borders, and I want them to be the party of fiscal responsibility.
Sure you do. That's why you were bitching back in June that they hadn't put all the appropriations bills up already. That's why you've been angry this whole year. Sean, you've been hammering your hand on the goddamn desk going, where are the 12 appropriation bills?
And I think strategically they have time to do this now.
Yeah, they got 45. Yeah, they totally got it together. Yeah, they have time to do it because they have enough time to be told fucking no.
Now, they can do it through the appropriations process, get those bills passed, and if that happens.
Oh, by the way, hold on one second. Since we're diverting for 1 second, because I love you guys, and this became a slight conversation about like Book of Eli versus Man on Fire. There's no comparison. Man on Fire is amazing. But can I just say how much I love the movie? I like the Equalizer movies as well, but Deja Vu, the Tony Scott movie that he did. Can I just tell you how, like, as in my pulp thrillers, I fucking love that movie. Unfortunately, Jim Caviezel became the guy he plays in that fucking movie. He literally has lost his mind, just like that fucking guy. Like it's like he went, I guess what's the actor equivalent of going native? He went method and stuck because he's fucking stupid. But I love, Fallen's good, but my problem is they never gave away the part that it could jump to an animal until the end, and then you're like, sorry, spoiler alert, but you're like, come on. The Bible's not immoral, calm down. But he thought it was Jesus, well, that's the problem. Finding Nemo is very dark. But I like Training Day as well. But like Deja Vu is one of those, like, Val Kilmer's in it. It's a sweet movie. There's some really nice stuff in there. But if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. Yeah, well, we're not talking about the stuff like Glory. We're not talking about his Oscar level stuff. We're talking about the pulp that he makes. And I love people's pulp movies. You need them. We need pulp movies that are just fun to watch, where you can relax and go, oh, that's exciting. Deja Vu is fantastic. And by the way, sticks to let's see. That happened actually. Associated Press. Matt Gaetz files a resolution to oust McCarthy as Speaker of the House. He just filed it. So, you like to get wet? I'm talking PCP, motherfucker. Right. Yeah, there are only a couple of like, dude stole my car was awesome. I agree. Dude, where's my car? You mean? But yes. But yeah, so Deja Vu and Edge of Tomorrow are the two best time travel movies I've ever seen, because they set up rules and then they obey the rules. It's fucking great. Anyways, there we go. That's all I'm saying. Debbie Does Dallas is bullshit. She never gets to Dallas. The whole thing takes place in Springfield. I'm just saying. Feel free to at me. She never does Dallas. Not that I minded when I saw it the first time at Brian Spizak's house, because his dad left it in the VCR. Yeah, Edge of Tomorrow is fucking brilliant. Brilliant, yeah. I think Caviezel's literally on meth. I think you might be right. or was at a time, and cooked his brain. Ricochet's terrific. I mean, again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of Denzel's movies. I'm just telling preferences. And I also don't believe in top 10 lists. I don't need them. I watch them when I favor them. The only time a top 10 list comes up is when you got a bunch of followers sitting around who don't know what movie to go see or what band to go listen to. I don't need it. Anyways, back to where we were. Feel free to @ me. Leave your comments below.
Happens.
Right.
I think successfully, we can get our border secure. We can get more fiscal responsibility, and that would be good for the
Yeah, because Democrats are taking care of it.
country.
And real quick, what do you make of Jamal Bowman pulling the fire alarm to open the door? Have you ever been at a door, Sean Hannity, and you thought, how do I open it? I'm going to pull the fire alarm.
Yeah, I have just a brilliant idea. What a great idea. I'm going to pull the
Because all over the Capitol buildings, they have these push to exit and pull to exit buttons and stuff. If you've ever been to the Capitol, you'll notice that a lot of the doors, you're like, where the fuck, how do I get out of here? And you'll open, it's locked, and you're like, oh crap, yeah, that, or you have to pull a lever to do it. That's what he thought. And by the way, it wasn't in the Capitol. It was in the congressional offices. It's near his office.
fire alarm. I have a vague memory. I'm not sure if it's reality or not of me.
Probably not.
And my friends, young in kindergarten and first grade, maybe occasionally pulling a fire alarm by accident. It was a complete accident.
Bullshit. I pulled a fire alarm once on purpose. You know why? There was a fucking fire.
This guy has entered that building 100 times. He was
No, he hasn't. That's the congressional building. He's leaving.
already indoors, and his excuse is as flimsy as any as I've ever heard. A part of me finds it amusing, but it wasn't too amusing to his colleagues.
No.
Apparently, some of them want the same charges because it was during the middle of a congressional hearing.
No, they don't.
That were brought to January 6th.
The idea is you don't pull a fire alarm by accident. One of these, like it says, some of these things say fire door, push to exit, or pull to exit. That's what he did. He was like, doink. Oh, fuck, right. Like it was one of those. Who cares?
People brought on him. We'll see what happens.
Well, thank you very much for the confession that you did just the same thing he did. But
I'm not saying I did. I'm saying I was around people that might have done that.
Sean, don't worry. The statute of limitations has run out. You're okay. You're in the clear.
It's a foggy memory. I've never been shy about admitting I was a fairly incorrigible child. So
you still are. Look at you.
And many would argue I'm an incorrigible adult.
No, I would never say that. I would not consider you an adult. Incorrigible, perhaps.
Incorrigible.
There you go. All right.
That's what his mama used to say about him.
He watched the incorrigible King of Cable. Let's see, 12 hours and 15 minutes from right now. Right here
don't
on the
miss it. We
channel.
got a great show tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
All right. We'll be watching.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we got to the bottom of that. You know that they don't really have any pushback when they can't even fill a segment of that length with the court case. Yeah, I'm just saying.